Welcome to the Training Room, brought to you by Lionel University. This is the podcast for us, the fitness professionals. Joining me as always is my amazing co-host, Dr. Erin Nitschke. How are you, Dr. Erin?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm really good. And I'm excited. I love when we have guests on here. Working from home, I'm not connecting with professionals out there as much as I used to. So I like to connect with people so I can kind of stay in touch with what's going on out there in the world of fitness. Today's guest, renowned strength coach, author, educator, and a very accomplished figure in the world of strength and performance, from coaching elite powerlifters, professional athletes, educating trainers around the world. He spent decades helping people to become stronger. And today we're going to explore what strength really means and how fitness professionals can use it to build more capable humans. So our guest today
There you
is
go.
Josh Bryant. Josh, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you both having me on. Thank you.
And Josh, I love this topic of just becoming more capable as people. So we'll definitely explore that a little bit more. But
Sure.
our show is called The Training Room, and every training session deserves a good warm up. So I was hoping you can warm us up by telling us a little bit about yourself and your entry into the world of strength. And please do, if you can remember all your totals, kind of sprinkle in some of the lifts that you've done, some of the totals, because for people who know, and I looked at them, really impressive stuff. I love hearing about
Thank
those
you.
things.
So my background kind of starts off. We'll start off with the Salaria. I guess the founder of Lionel University would be probably. So
Mhm.
I first met. Let's start off when I was in 8th grade, my first or 7th grade maybe. But I was at the YMCA, close grip bench pressing, and there was Dr. Sal, and he's like, "Hey, don't you going a little bit too heavy there?" It's like, "No, I can do this." And he's like, kind of looking at me, and I did it. And I think he thought I was kind of like, okay, this kid's not going to back down. So we kind of hit it off there. And so I was into strength training really young. I got in there to YMCA about 5 years old. My dad was playing racquetball there. So I just sneak in there, watch people, talk to people, work out. Then by the time I was in junior high, I got very serious about it and was getting regimented. And that's where I met Dr. Sal. So my background there was I was doing initially football and boxing. In high school, did football and track. In college, did football and track. So my lifting background was kind of started there, but I ended up as a teenager winning the teenage nationals. I was youngest person to bench press 600. I totaled 2292 in powerlifting, won the strongest man in America 2005. The fitness side of things started, kind of gave you the thing with Dr. Sal right there. But about 16 years old, the defensive coordinator on our football team was going to a gym in town, and I was looking for a job, and he said, "I'll introduce you." Got a job at this gym. It was a hardcore gym. So like Dr. Sal had been to this gym, Fred Hatfield when he was in town, all those kind of caliber of people. It was a very hardcore gym. And I was working there. So I ended up getting a chance to, like, it was like a kind of a, not like a lifetime fitness where everybody's on a monthly withdrawal, like people paying cash kind of thing. So we had some characters in there for sure. And some of the bouncers, they were like really big, jack, scary dudes from the local strip club were going in there. So I was like, all right, like meeting these guys that were huge, and they knew I trained with a guy named Steve Hall. And they like, he didn't really come in there and he wasn't really like a people person, so I didn't really talk to people. So I think they viewed me as like a intermediary between him, Steve, and whatever. So long story short, I started writing these guys programs. And then at that point, I just started working with people before I knew this was even really a thing. Then Anthony Aria, Dr. Sal's son, said, "Hey, why don't you get certified by ISSA?" And I was 19, and then started working with people then. I guess the rest is history. I haven't really done anything else.
Love that. Love that.
Wow.
And we kind of share a little bit of history there, that I I hired a lot of bouncers to become trainers for me back in the day. And they'd
Yeah,
be these big guys. And the main thing I had to teach them was to not walk around with their bouncer aura while they're trying to be kind of more customer service
for sure.
at the gym. I would be like, "Hey man, let's smile a little bit." And
Yeah,
it was shocking how well it worked, because when you get a big jacked guy who is also a nice guy and will smile and be personable, it's almost like a cheat code toward getting some clients in the gym, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, that's definitely true.
I can't say I've hired any bouncers, and I am not a bouncer. I'm a very small woman. But Josh, I'm curious, like at what point or what would you say would be like the turning point or the aha moment for you that you realized coaching was really supposed to be your life's work?
I guess I didn't really know anything else. So I guess I didn't have another aspiration or anything at that point because I liked the difference would be when so I moved from California to Nashville. So I had a chance to work with a lot of different people. And I never really seeked out a particular market. It kind of, I would find it. I just liked working with different people. So initially in Nashville, so in California, it was like a lot, anywhere from your bouncers to stay-at-home moms. So quite a mix of people, right? I didn't really know the business end of thing. I think I did a good job getting certified by ISSA and all that, but I didn't focus enough on the business, just kind of the technical skills of it, which in the long term turned out to be a good move. Go to Nashville, and there was a guy named Jeff Bergholz, and it's a weird story, but I get to this gym, and my friend had introduced me to him, and I did this powerlifting meet called the Mountaineer Cup, and I squatted at that meet, and I missed 925, so my eyes were like red, bloodshot from straining so hard. And I walk in there, I'm thinking, this is some foo-foo gym. They're going to tell me to leave, scare everybody. The guy that owned it turned out to be like the former Mr. Tennessee, and he's calling people and look at this guy did this. I'm like, okay, cool. They like this. Good fit. So that guy, Jeff Bergholz, former bodybuilder, taught me a ton about business there. And so then went from working with mostly doctors and people like that. And it was a good sort of just different type of clientele. And there was a challenge because the people were super committed and they'd show up, but they had no extra time. So we'd get everything done within, say, 50 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. They're not going to do anything outside of there, but they will give that all for that time. So what kind of came up with a system there of we do basically, say, for example, exercises, say, do dumbbell bench press and a chest supported row. Then you have a 2-minute break, right? 2-minute break, I'd have them do, because they wouldn't do cardio on their own. I'd have them start walking on a treadmill, 3 miles per hour. Literally had like regular people like doctors and stuff buy into that, lifting more weight and running on those 2 minutes, 10 miles per hour on a treadmill. So it's kind of like I came up with this way of doing it. Was everything perfectly optimized? No. Did they get a ton out of it for that short time? Absolutely. And invention was the mother of necessity in that case, and certainly worked there. Then I left there to get more serious about my own training because I've been doing it still. It was a perfect place to grow a business. And I had a good place to train there at Vanderbilt University. They let me train there. But I really wanted to get this gym called Metroflex in Texas. So I moved down here. Complete opposite again. So then you go from that to a very hardcore gym, like nothing you've ever seen before, bad area of town and all that. And the owner there told me, we love having you here, but I'll just warn you, no one's ever made a living here as a full-time trainer. And okay, so what I did is I read this kind of silly sounding, but I read a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Waltz. Changed my life and my mindset. I already had that kind of mindset for like sports, but not for business. And it really had me think I could do anything at that point. Read that book, got going there, and I kind of like, if anything, flipped the switch of to not only get the hardcore clients, but get regular people to come down there of like seeing like a badge of honor of, oh, I come to Metroflex. It's like a rites of passage of a place they wouldn't normally go. So ended up like leveraging that to the advantage. I said, like the thing if like you tell a shoe salesman, he has to go sell shoes in like Africa in a village or something where no one wears shoes. One guy gets mad saying there's no opportunity there. Another guy says, great, no one has shoes. I'm gonna sell a ton. I kind of took that mentality of no one's doing this here. It's wide open and it can work, and it did.
Yeah.
So from there, I started working with initially like some strength athletes and kind of normal people to more like for a while, it was like basically all athletes, high school and college. Then I'd get their parents during the day. So like I might get your high school football player, but then their stay-at-home mom wants to come train during the day to kind of keep me like occupied during the day. So that was a really good model from there. So I started training from there. A guy that was athletic director at one of the top programs around here, he offered me a job being a strength conditioning coach, which I didn't really have them at high schools back then. At first, I was like, I don't know about that. But then I saw that I actually paid well and things like that. Okay, I'll try it out, and did that for a few years. And that was a really good opportunity too, because I kind of learned how to operate with this. It's kind of, there's always learning lessons. Learned how to operate within a system there in the sense of, for example, at Metroflex, the huge advantage was more than anywhere, you do whatever the hell you want. Like you can literally do whatever you want. If you want to throw random equipment in the back of your truck, like sleds, and put them in the parking lot, no one cares. Like you can do whatever you want. So that's a huge advantage where all of a sudden now I'm like, all right, we have an athletic period, but if you go 1 minute over, since we're good, there's people actually watching, you're getting in trouble. You have a kid miss a bus, they can get in trouble, like that kind of thing. So I wasn't used to that. So the huge opportunity there was kind of like learning how to operate within a system versus just do whatever you want to do. So then from there, I had a lot of people. I was to tell people a lot of times you're gonna start your own business, make sure it's your side hustle beats your primary source of income. And I was like kind of doing the math. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing like a lot better on the side hustle. So let's go full time here. And I really didn't like teaching class. They gave me a really good schedule. They're good to me. And I wasn't really doing very much in the class, but I didn't like just being occupied in the class. I like freedom. I did not like sitting in a classroom. I hated it. And so I can't be dealing with this classroom stuff anymore. I'm out of here. Left on really good terms. I actually just talked to the athletic director the other day. So everything's good from there. So I went back to Metroflex full time, got more and more athletes in there. And a lot of the professional bodybuilders and powerlifters are seeing like how good of results I got with high school kids. And I think it's like the principle of stewardship. If you do really well with what you're given right in front of you, like attract other things. And I think they saw, okay, if I can help this person do this, what can I do for you? So one opportunity kind of led to another. And then I started working with primarily just strength athletes and bodybuilders. From there, kind of where I work with it, still do a lot of this and regular athletes and all that still, but also started working from that as I was training there at Metroflex. I'm like, I'm not I got so into training other people that I was starting to I was getting more excited about their results than my own. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to compete anymore when I'm willing to sacrifice my own sleep and training to help a client over myself. It probably need time to hang it up there so I can focus more on my clients. I did that. And then from there, I started, okay, I'm not training for bodybuilding or powerlifting anymore. I'm going to start training more functional. We're talking about more capable humans. I'm going to start training just to be more functional in life. So again, I didn't seek out this tactical training market. Just people would see me online, say, okay, this guy's pulling sleds, doing farmer's walks, running a sprint, whatever. That could help me. I'm a cop. I'm a whatever. I'm in the Marines, whatever I'm doing. So then I started getting into the tactical kind of space just from that. I wasn't like I thought of put down a business plan and started writing things down and saying, I'm going to seek this out. So tomorrow I'm going to put an Instagram story sprinting with a sled. And I bet you a tactical person will see it. It wasn't like that. It was just like this. I'm going to train to be more capable. And it led to that. So what I kind of tell people from there is the long story short is it's building what I call a skill set. A skill set would complement one another. It's not like you're going from, okay, this guy was all about strength. Now he's just running ultra marathons. There's kind of these things all build off each other because you will be a more resilient strength athlete, even if you're powerlifting in the off season. If you do sleds and things like that, you will be a more explosive athlete. If your strength to body weight ratio increases, you're going to be faster, you're going to be more explosive. So all these kind of skills kind of piggybacked off one another. And from there, it kind of led me from, okay, hey, I did a couple courses for ISSA. Fred Hatfield just had me correct a few things, liked it, read to a full course. Then he wanted to do a seminar. He said, we're going to do one seminar together. He liked it, said I did well with him. We got good feedback. He said, let's do 6 of them. We'll do it for the rest of the year. Then we did 25, literally till we had one scheduled for the week he passed away. And it's ironic. It was in the Netherlands. And I literally just did one in the Netherlands, like finally got over there after 8 years or whatever it's been. And we were going to do one over there. And like he passed away, I think it was on a Sunday or Monday. And we were scheduled to leave like Thursday or Friday. So it didn't go. So that led to about 25 seminars. So I think the kind of lesson I can say for people here is if you do well with what's right in front of you, good things happen.
That's a great lesson. And I think one other possible lesson is this. You don't strike me as someone who's afraid to go just move somewhere and try something new. And it sounds like you did that several times. And that can be a pretty scary thing for a lot of people. But much like your analogy of the guy trying to sell shoes in the village, I think you just saw opportunity rather than just scary things, right?
So I think that's the key too, is also look at what point of time you're in life. So I wasn't married yet. I didn't have kids yet. So I knew that I'm not going to uproot my kid and all right, we're going to New York because a bunch of people moved in here and we can cash in. Or I've thought about, so I said, I knew at this season in life, that's the right move. So you have to take advantage of what you can. But then there's always an opportunity there too, right? Because if there's always be some sort of network somewhere. If I was like, say 10 years younger in that situation, I probably would have gone to, I just did something in Dubai or literally right before this whole thing in Iran started. And I got back a week before the missiles were fired at them. Kind of scary stuff, but nothing like that happened there. But I thought the same thing when I was in Dubai. I'm like, man, if I, at a different point, somebody else where I was 10 years ago, I'd go over and kill it. Everybody there was super nice, like the nicest people I've ever met. Everybody is a hustle culture. If you want to work, like when you get a restaurant, waitress was super nice. Like, all right, did you enjoy this? Yes. Make sure you fill something out on Google. She literally stood over my shoulder to make sure I hit a Google review. It was like the hustle culture of if you want to work, people are there to work. It was a cool place and there's a lot of opportunity, cash flow everywhere kind of thing. So I think there's always these opportunities if people want to take the risk. And I think when you're young and no one else is dependent on you financially or anything, you got to go for it. If you strike out, you have a cool story to tell and some life experience that will help you in something else.
That's a great way to look at it. I
Yeah.
love that.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and really insightful too. And I happened to get a bunch of insights on you yesterday. I was kind of flipping through your blogs, and you must get up every day and write a blog, because I was like on page 2 and it said there's 50 more pages or something
Well,
like
it's
that.
consistency, one a week.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. So if you go one a week and you're at 10 years, you're at 520, right?
There it is. There it is. And I definitely got some insights, because it's easy, and this happens in the fitness world a lot, to look at you and think, okay, he's a powerlifter bodybuilder guy. That's what he does. That's who he works with, and hold you in that way. But then I don't really get that sense at all. Certainly there's blogs about powerlifting and bodybuilding, but there was a lot of other great stuff too. And the thing I really wanted to focus in on was strength, and have the conversation about how it's more than just physical performance. It's a great highlight reel to be able to say
Absolutely.
that you've totaled 2,200 and you've bench pressed 600 as the youngest person to bench press that much. It's a great highlight reel and great accomplishments. But in the world of working with people, and a lot of our listeners are trainers working with people, and oftentimes general public. I think a lot of general public will hear the word strength and strength training and think the wrong things. They'll think just powerlifting and bodybuilding, but we've already said the word capable before. I also like to use the word useful. Is your body useful to you? Does it do the things that you want it to do? So I would love to talk about that. When someone says strength, how would you define that? What does it mean to you today? Maybe even in comparison to how you thought of strength 20, 25 years ago.
Strength is like the foundation for everything, I think. And so you need to have, it's just going to make you more capable and everything else. But here's where it's going to be like different is anytime you do something at an elite level, you're going to sacrifice something else to a degree. So if you're an elite level powerlifter, you are definitely sacrificing somewhere or something else. You know what I mean? There would be some other area you're not covering. So the way I would define now for a more kind of lay population or tactical athlete or somebody that wants to be kind of capable around is I basically look at it like this. The goal is, and this is not like a definition of strength, but kind of like what the goal is. So you're saying is twofold. One, you'd be like kind of look at yourself as like the goal for me would be like a high level generalist, where like a generalist means you can do a little bit of everything, right? Where like a high level kind of the pinnacle of it would be like a high level all around. Or you could look at it like this: is the philosophy I call is 50 cubed. Is you basically want to be in a perfect world. You want to, if you're like training, not just to feel a little bit better, but like really be physically capable. You want to move like you're 50 pounds lighter, have the strength of somebody 50 pounds heavier, and the speed and movement capacity of somebody 50 pounds lighter. So you have the conditioning and movement capacity of a lighter person, the strength of somebody heavier. That's going to make you more like physically capable all around. So I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't want that. Now, it may not be worth the trade-off of the time, the work, whatever to get there, but I think most people that can snap their finger may not want to be like a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, but I think everybody, including powerlifting or bodybuilder, I guarantee you the best powerlifters in the world, you said, hey, you know what? You could also have you could also ruck with 50 pounds in your back faster than 95% of people in the army. without taking away from your bench press. Do you want that? Of course they're going to say yes. Now if you said your bench press is going to drop 150 pounds and all that, they'd probably say, no, I'm not going to do that right now. Fine. But I'm saying if you could snap your fingers, to me, that's ultimately what it's going to be about, is like to have high levels of movement capacity, explosive strength, endurance, and strength. And strength really being the foundation. It's kind of like the mother of all qualities, for lack of a better term, is in the sense of your endurance is better if you're stronger. House, an example, we moved to this house, we hired movers. And so I was going to take care of a lot of the stuff myself. It was real heavy. We had a truck here, and they're like, they were getting tired and stuff. And I was not doing much cardio at this time, like now. And I just remember like saying, kind of like, move out of the way, I'll take care of this. And like, they're all getting tired. It's not like I was in like better moving shape. I'm a lot stronger than you. So if I'm carrying like 100-pound plates from the truck to the garage, and if you can deadlift, say 800 pounds, that's 12.5% of your max. Who cares, right? Where if you deadlift 200, it's 50% of your max. Good luck doing multiple trips like that. So it kind of makes your endurance better by default. Even if you're running, you're not having to push off with as much force and things like that. So by default, your speed, there's even studies at high levels. One I saw the other day was saying that if people that squat 2.1 times their body weight are faster than people as a whole that do 1.9 times their body weight squat. So that's a high squat. It's not like you're saying if you squat the bar 400, you're saying like, no, even like 2.1 and 1.9 times, that's still the case. So you automatically get faster by being stronger. So all those different things, even mobility, like being able to hold it's not going to make you necessarily full range of motion strength training. There's definitely going to make you more flexible, but you have to have the strength to hold certain positions. If you can get in a really low position, say squatting down, but you have no resilience in that position, it could just be injury waiting to happen because there's nothing there once you get there. So I think that's the key, is looking at strength as something to improve. And so when people take these courses and all this, you learn that you can explain that to somebody. I don't care about powerlifting. Great. Okay, great. Do you care about this? Well, here's how it's going to help that. And I think that's the way you sell it to people, is that's what Fred Hatfield did a really good job of when he talked, is it wasn't about powerlifting. It was about movement. And you just have more efficient movement when you're stronger, which is better endurance, better speed, better everything.
Yeah, I totally agree that we all need all of those things, right? And the absence of one weakens another, and the presence of one strengthens another facet. I'm curious, and I want to talk just a little bit about meeting clients where they're at. So you've trained
Right.
elite athletes, you've trained bodybuilders, powerlifters, general population, like you said, the stay-at-home mom. I'm just curious, can you talk a little bit about, for our audience, what are the principles around coaching that just never change, regardless of who the client is in front of you?
Well, I think the first thing is being truthful with people, because you want to basically find out I think you can explain to somebody that if you can do it well, like just say, look, if I want to have ripped abs or something, and you say, hey, it's gonna be this much work. Do you want to diet like this? Do you want to tell everybody at the office party you're not having cocktails, whatever it is? And that let them make the decision and say, hey, look, you can't have every time there's a margarita Monday, you're gonna have to forego that or not participate or something. Is that worth it to you? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I can't make that decision for you. So kind of tell them the truth. And then the timeless, another principle I think is you have to look at, like Fred Hatfield had the 7 granddaddy laws. That's going to be kind of like a way of programming. It's to be true for anybody, right? And then there's a lot of stuff, like just with any client, unless it's like a power lifter or somebody that has to be, or Olympic lifter has to like nail certain movements. Your exercises are tools. That's at the end of the day, like we're after a training effect. So if you're super tall and you want to grow muscular legs, like that's your main objective, and you like have a crazy forward lean because long femurs and all that, the squat. I like to squat, but that's going to be probably the best way for you to do it. So then, do we force you to squat? Some of the more mass market memes and all this about try to squat no, I'm sure you'll get something out of squatting, but if the goal is hypertrophy in your legs, that's probably not going to be the best movement. So what's the tool we can use there? You look at that. I think you have to kind of like start backwards with the outcome. Look at where you want to go, then kind of how you're going to get there. If you want to say you're renting a house right now, you want to buy one in 3 years, like how do I get to that point? I need to put this much away every month, whatever it is. Like you kind of look at it that way of how you want to get there. And then I think their goals. And then another thing I think people don't talk about is knowing the person's preferences. Let's just say this person, like for cardio, I like to go rucking for aerobic stuff, like a basically walk fast with a weighted, purposely with a weighted backpack kind of thing. What if you're working with somebody that was in the Marines for 25 years and they hate rucking? That's all they did, and they like just hate it. So are you going to make that person do? What if they like the Stairmaster instead? Because they don't want to be outside. They live with bad air quality or something. They don't want to go outside all the time. You going to force them to ruck, or just have them go to Stairmaster or whatever it is? That kind of thing. If I can get the same results with something you like, I'm going to get better results because you like it and you're going to be more compliant. They say compliance is a science kind of thing. And I think if we can meet them where they're at, and then sort of like just meet them where they're at. If you know what, like if unless someone's like trying to do whatever at the highest level, you can usually get something out of having commit to, like I was talking about those people in Tennessee, 2 to 3 times a week, 50 minutes, got a ton out of it because they were compliant. They were very upfront about how much time they had. None of them lied and said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to start doing minutes of cardio on off days." They just didn't. They just said, "This is what you're going to get from me. What can you do for me?" Okay, cool. Let's do something. I think that's cool. And so like, I think you have to know the person's commitment level and that kind of thing. And I think you have to just develop good rapport, because clients need to know that you're not a cop that's trying to get them in trouble. It's more, once you present it to people like this, hey, you know what? I'm not upset if you go off your diet, right? Like I don't, it's going to get you best results, but it doesn't make me mad. I just need to know because I'm looking at data. And if you're literally at this much protein, this many calories, these macros, and we're not getting where we need to go, because I can see you're training with me, there's a problem. So we need to change something versus, okay, I did this. And said, okay, great. So we don't have to change anything because we're either going to kind of remain here or you're going to get compliant and we'll get better results. But like, to me, you should present it as a chess match rather than like a law enforcement thing. And I think you get people to like really cooperate well that way. And that's a huge thing to understand, because if you guys like experiment, say go on an AI thing or something, say, hey, like you could say, hey, this person I've messed with before. Hey, what about a client with a knee problem? They'll be like, front squat. And you can keep saying squat. You say squat doesn't feel good. Like just, they can't get it through there. And you have to personalize it because the people aren't machines. You know what I mean? There is an emotional component to this. There is buy-in to this. And if nothing else, just a lot of people nowadays don't feel like heard. So if they know you're listening, that's going to at least make them an ally and trust you more. Yeah, I think that, like I said before, it kind of comes down to truth, being truthful. You're truthful with them, they're truthful with you. And like I said before, you can't play cop. You have to let them know the sort of machine aspect of it is, this is I don't play chess match game, whatever it would be. Like moving the pieces around to get the desired outcome. Yeah, I'm not here to, all I need to know is this information. And I've never had someone, once you explain it like that, they're really, I think you have to take into account, then it does get the science part of it though. If you go into real deep science, you got lots of books back here. And if you go to the Russian texts and things like that, there is what they call, for Stansky and some of those people talk about the tactical, what's the word they use? The tactical element of fitness and the philosophy, they call it the tactical philosophy of the unit, meaning basically, okay, the football example, we snap the ball on, we're not waiting to get in the huddle or anything. We should go right away, aggressive right away. So that could require slightly different than somebody that takes the full time and just does a pass block versus a team that's on the ball running it every single time. And I think you could apply that to people of kind of what is their kind of philosophy, what gets them to go. Okay, you're like somebody that you did well in, say, like CrossFit, okay, but you always got injured. So what do we take away from that? You like to be challenged. I have 3 kids. And my two boys are a little different. The younger one, I don't want to be like, I'm not abusive or anything, but you could really tell him, challenge him. I don't think you can do this and stuff. And he will love that. He will always, like today, I trained some of their friends in the morning, and one kid told him he couldn't get 5 reps on the bench. In my mind, I was thinking, no way in hell he was going to get 5 reps. He got 5 reps clean. He thrives off that. He did wrestling today, and it's every time someone challenges him, he would like a coach that would kind of be in his face kind of thing. Where, so that's a different approach than somebody that, if the first time you meet with them, I hated football in high school. My coach always screamed at me and made me feel bad about myself or whatever. That's going to be a different approach. If you got to get to know people, so you can't just come out all crazy, but I think you can pick up these kind of social cues that will help you tailor it to the person and find out if they have another client right now that just always, you have some of those clients that they don't want to push it to the extreme, but they don't freaking miss no matter what. They literally don't miss no matter what. They don't have to be pushed to the extreme because they're going to be consistent. And it's just going to compound and stack little by little. The guy I'm thinking of is about 50 years old now, really like 15 years. It's just little by little, he keeps getting better. And I think he'd think I'm crazy if I went, all right, we're going to, at the end of your workout, do some crazy finisher. He'd be like, what are we doing? But he'll put in the work to get there. So I think you have to look at that emotional component of what the best, I just know the best coaches I had growing up were always, even in football and stuff, they customized it, the way they talk to different kids and stuff. Like the best coaches I had didn't always be positive. They didn't always be negative and yelled. They looked at what worked with different people and were able to, somehow they figured it out and they got it to work. And a lot of people do really well. Like I know for me, I did really well when the coach tells you great job and praises you. I also do really well when you get challenged. A lot of people, I did well on both extremes, but I don't like the middle ground. I like feedback of, this is great, keep it up, you're doing awesome, versus get your head out of your butt and what are you thinking right there? I like either way. I like feedback, not just, okay, in the middle of the road, and figuring that out about clients. And you can, even if you're online clients, you just do through email, you should be able to start picking things up. If you're like, for example, I'll use an example of somebody that writes an email to you to check in. They usually ramble about something that's not to do with the training, right? Oh, the store did this, the kids did this, and okay, what's that have you? Then all of a sudden they write you and say, done with the week. You're like, huh? Usually you ramble on for 500 words, now it's done. So hey, then that's when it's dig a little deeper without being hey, how's everything going with you? Just want to see how life's going outside the gym for you. Then you usually find out something's going on or something, and then you have to be receptive to people and pick up on those things. I think the longer you do this, and if you care about people, I think it's going to come naturally too, and you'll figure it out as you go.
I love what you said, because really what you're doing is painting the picture for our listeners that it's about awareness. That
That's
awareness
it.
is a principle, not just the rapport, not just the telling the truth, not just paying attention to what they enjoy, rucking versus putting them on a Stairmaster, but you're talking about this element of awareness that I think can be so overlooked in our industry in favor of following a textbook or following scientific principles. But you're coming at it from this angle of, who is this person, this whole person? And so you're talking about whole person centered coaching, regardless of whether they're training for powerlifting or something else. And I think
Well,
that's
I
a
think
real
I
thing.
picked up on it too. Of a couple times I've had seminars and where I do them, I limit them when they're hands on to 30 people. It's probably still too many when you're going around. Like, I mean, you're running around by yourself. Like think an 8-hour day of training feels hard. Think of doing that for 32 hours equivalently, because you don't stop. You just don't stop. And I've noticed a few people, they're in the back, like hanging out, not really like shy. And like when you give them some little extra attention, because I noticed they're like not into it like everybody else is, getting emails later of, hey, this seminar at South Corner that really changed my life and outlook. I'm like, we barely talked, but I think it's just, you showed that person that you cared. And maybe that person's been overlooked by other people because they are shy. And we have to look at that. I think that's, even as we're working as a strength coach at the school, because one thing I did pick up in the classroom is there are certain kids that probably didn't have the best home life or anything. And they're not all, you think a lot of times they'd be like, have outbursts and have bad attitudes. A lot of times it's not that. There's quiet, standoff or whatever. And then when you don't think you do very much, just say, hey, good morning, how's it going? And then one of them, like when I worked at the school, called the school later just to talk, from literally was out in the class. They said, Nathan's on the phone, picked it up and talked to him. And I didn't even think this kid liked me, but it was like, just because I actually talked to him a little bit. And I didn't even think I talked to him very much. I think a lot of people, if you're aware, that's going to help you. And they're just going to, if something, they're going to tell other clients, there's just something about that. They got that it factor or whatever, just because you actually care. They should be good with human behavior too, because that's what they're scouting out for a living, right? Because yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, totally. Go ahead. Okay. I think definitely meeting people where they are and realizing that all these exercise and modalities are tools, and it's not like you're basing it off, say, like powerlifting or bodybuilding or anything else. Learn from people better than you, and don't worry. It's unless you have kids dependent on you at home or something, don't worry about the pay. One of my first things was at UCLA. I volunteered there. I was working at 24 Fitness, and 3 days a week I drove to UCLA, no pay. And it's Dr. Sal told me just go down there, introduce yourself. That's when Doc Kreese, the guy that wrote the strength conditioning course for ICE, was at UCLA. Just say you want to help out and feel free to drop my name. And I don't know if Sal called him because I didn't say I was going to do it. He's this is my advice to you. I walked down there and the guy, this is before Instagram. I don't think he would have known me. And at least he acted like he did. Maybe he just thought it was cool that I came down there. But he's come down here. And he just remember he said, walk around. Dead. He's be here Monday at 5:30. I'm like, okay. And so I think there's a chance of like how much you're paying for certification school, that's all valuable, but also realize that sometimes you can learn from other people. If someone says, hey, can I just come watch? I've had, and a lot of people just say yes, they're not going to want anything. Said, hey, I'm in the area. Can I come watch you do a session? Unless there's an objection on the client's part, I'd always say yes to somebody. You know what I mean? If it's somebody that wants privacy, I'm not going to sacrifice their training for somebody else. But if somebody I know doesn't care, I was like, yeah, bring it. Come on, watch. Just be a fly on the wall and don't get in the way, and we're all good. We've talked so much about the emotional, and you said awareness was Erin's term, which is probably I think that's a better term because that kind of encompasses like everything. I'm glad we talked about that because this has been one of my favorite podcasts to do because we never talk about this stuff. It's always just, which I like talking about the exercise and stuff, which we talk about. So this was cool. I think just going back to what we haven't talked as much about is operate on principles, not on social media or TikTok, Instagram, whatever, just because like I work out at the house here, very nice home gym with really good equipment, but there's certain machines I don't have. So I go over to for some upper body stuff, like commercial gyms and stuff. And I've seen, this is on both end of it though. So like some of the chain gyms that don't pay their trainers real well, it is their fault. They give them a nickel and say, don't spend it all in one place and get mad that there's so much changing. But it's the trainer's fault. So you see a lot of stuff of, okay, you have this lady who's 55 years old, weighs 220 pounds at 5'6", and she's like jumping on boxes. Why? Oh, but I saw there's this guy on Instagram that jumps on 40-inch boxes with a gun and shoots at targets and flips off. Okay, yeah, he's in the military and all this. This is that person. So why are you doing this? You don't need to copy what's out there. If you have a set of principles, maybe this does fit in. Maybe once this person can squat over her body weight and we know she's a clean bill of health, she can start jumping on some lower boxes at that point. But you don't just start. I'm saying that's the one I've seen the most of. Usually, like Fred Hatfield, rest in peace, but he used to always say there's good, better, and best. I wish I could have brought him to the commercial gym with me since then, because I think he might take that back, good, better, and best, because I've seen stuff at the gym that's not good. It's not like this is better than nothing. Like what did the doctors say? First rules do no harm, I believe, or something like that. There's a lot of people not abiding by that. They're doing crazy stuff. They're seen on Instagram, and they're literally having people that get so much out of something else. And it's worse than they walked in there because, and then when they're doing the jumps, because I've seen the jumps thing a number of times, they're not doing it even properly of like somebody should be doing it. So you do this for conditioning or explosive stuff, because it's kind of in between. You're doing like, 6-8 reps in a row real quick. For most people that were in better shape, that probably wouldn't be optimal for explosive power, but it's not going to wear them out, where this person is wearing this person out. They're going to get hurt, so they're not even getting anything out of it. So I'd say just operate off of like sound exercise science principles instead of trying to. It's cool. It's great to be inspired by people. Everybody should believe in their heroes and learn and that kind of thing. It doesn't mean you have to do what the most advanced physical people are doing with people that were sedentary an hour before they walked in the gym, kind of thing. And I think you need to know enough to tell that, because maybe the people are telling them like, hey, I saw this person on Instagram and they were doing flips and I want to do flips. Okay, but let's get you to squat. Let's get you to this first and then jump on a box. Then we'll discuss flips or whatever.
Calm down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my key takeaway is awareness is both a skill and a value, neither of which, regardless of how you look at it, should be sacrificed. because it's really about reading the room. It's about, if you're not aware, you can't meet your client where they're at, whatever context they're in at that particular moment. Because as we know, their context changes over time.
That's be a whole nother conversation another time, but great point right there. Because if you can't do a lot of these things while you're younger, if you can't sprint at 35, you think you're gonna be walking real well at 80? I mean, because as you get older, a lot of times your ability to tolerate extremes diminishes. But the definition of extreme also changes. Most people that are 90 can't do a 10-mile hike up a mountain. So, but if you can't do a lot of those sprinting and things now, where does that go later? I think the awareness point, that would be the other thing. I think what Erin said about the awareness. A nice dog, but yeah. Funny because my daughter kept going over here. I thought she was getting the picture too, but awareness, I think, is the key one. We said about like trainers now. I don't know what that is, but I think that's like overall, I'm not negative towards the internet or social media. I think it's been a net positive overall, but I do think that is something like with the awareness part that maybe people are lacking a little bit of when you can, of just like, you don't read the room when, if like you just text with people all day, there's people all the time that you might think are rude and they're not. That's how they text. They just kind of short and they're not rude whatsoever. Just you're the nicest people in the world when you see them. And if that's all you do and don't actually interact with anybody, like I think you lose awareness because everything's virtual, right? So yeah, probably the easiest way is just through my website, joshstrength.com. And then, yeah, I'm all social media stuff too, but that just right through there, I have a contact form in there. Just drop me an email. Right. There you go. Yes, sir. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I think you guys have a good thing going. Just looking at these emails and stuff I've seen of all the different names I didn't even know were involved. I think you guys have some good resources. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.